The chilly morning of December 26, 1996, in the upscale mountain city of Boulder, Colorado, was supposed to be filled with the quiet aftermath of a snowy family Christmas. Instead, it became the exact moment the collective American psyche was pierced by a mystery that would refuse to fade for decades. On that day, a devastating discovery transformed a beautiful, affluent family home into a high-profile crime scene, setting off a media storm unlike anything the world had ever seen before. For nearly 30 years, the public has been utterly captivated by the tragic fate of a young child, a small-town beauty queen whose life was cut short under circumstances so deeply bizarre, so profoundly unsettling, that they triggered an endless cycle of speculation, theories, and unyielding grief. It is a story that has been analyzed by criminal experts, obsessed over by amateur detectives, and re-examined by generation after generation, yet the central questions remain entirely unanswered. The case has become a permanent fixture in modern true crime history, representing an open wound that continues to fascinate and divide people across the globe. When a tragedy of this magnitude embeds itself so deeply into popular culture, any attempt to revisit it through the lens of dramatic entertainment carries an immense weight of responsibility, attracting a massive amount of intense scrutiny from audiences who remember the headlines vividly. To truly understand the current waves of anticipation, skepticism, and debate surrounding the latest cinematic reimagining of this enduring mystery, one must first look at the massive global entertainment networks that possess the power to reshape how we view real-world tragedies. If you want to stay updated on how this incredible story unfolds and get deep insights into the most gripping true crime developments across the entertainment world, please take a quick moment right now to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. The power of storytelling on global streaming platforms has fundamentally changed how society processes historic events, often blurring the thin line between historical documentation and dramatic entertainment. Recently, the world's leading streaming giant sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and the true crime community by announcing a brand new, highly ambitious limited miniseries designed to re-examine this iconic cold case from entirely fresh perspectives. The announcement itself immediately ignited fierce conversations across social media platforms, forums, and entertainment news outlets, but it was not just the choice of subject matter that got people talking so passionately. Rather, it was the stunning, highly unconventional casting decisions for the lead roles that left fans, cultural critics, and media analysts completely astounded. The network revealed that the complex, deeply tragic figures of the grieving parents would be portrayed by two incredibly prominent Hollywood actors, a creative decision that many have called exceptionally bold, while others view it with extreme caution and outright concern. Specifically, the selection of an immensely popular actress, widely celebrated and globally recognized almost exclusively for her brilliant comedic timing and blockbusting laugh-out-loud comedy films, to play the deeply sorrowful, intensely scrutinized mother has sparked an immediate and widespread controversy. Fans and critics alike are actively questioning whether a beloved star known for making millions laugh can successfully transition into the heavy, dark, and emotionally exhausting reality of one of America's most heartbreaking, unsolved family mysteries. This casting choice has created an intense atmosphere of intrigue, forcing audiences to wonder if the forthcoming project will be a masterpiece of dramatic reinvention or a jarring misfire that risks overshadowing the gravity of a real-world horror. The online community exploded with immediate reactions ranging from genuine artistic optimism to sharp, sarcastic skepticism as people began to debate the merits of casting against type in high-stakes dramatic productions. Many users on major digital platforms expressed worry that the highly recognizable comedic mannerisms of the lead actress might accidentally break the tension required to sustain a serious investigation on screen, potentially turning a grim national tragedy into something that feels uncomfortably close to a caricature. Others wondered aloud how many times this specific story could possibly be retold, suggesting that Hollywood might be running out of original ideas by constantly returning to the same well of historical sadness. Yet, amidst the sea of doubts, there are those who argue that the absolute best dramatic performances in cinematic history often come from seasoned comedic actors who decide to completely throw themselves into heavy, emotionally demanding dramatic roles without holding anything back. The division among the audience perfectly mirrors how the original case itself divided a nation decades ago, showing that even after all this time, The public emotions surrounding these real people remain incredibly raw and highly sensitive. As the streaming network prepares to launch this massive production later this year, promising to explore the tragedy from multiple angles and unravel the layers of unresolved grief that still linger, the stakes could not possibly be higher. The production had originally been developed by a completely different major network, which ultimately decided not to proceed with the project, allowing the current streaming giant to pick it up and assemble an incredibly star-studded ensemble cast to support the main leads. This complex corporate journey behind the scenes only adds to the growing mystery and tension surrounding the project's eventual release. The upcoming miniseries is not merely a retelling of a dark chapter in criminal history, it has become a fascinating cultural flashpoint that forces us to question how we consume true crime stories, how we balance entertainment with empathy, and whether Hollywood can truly honor the memory of a lost child while delivering a gripping television drama. The stage is now perfectly set for a massive cultural event, with audiences around the world waiting anxiously to see how these famous actors will handle the immense burden of portraying historical figures defined by unimaginable loss and relentless public suspicion. The atmosphere is thick with anticipation, the arguments are growing more intense by the day, and the world is watching closely as the ultimate line between Hollywood showmanship and real-life human tragedy is about to be tested like never before. To fully understand the incredible tension and the deep-seated public anxiety surrounding this new television project, one must dive straight into the heart of the dark, labyrinthine mystery that began in the early morning hours of late December back in 1996. The affluent suburban neighborhood of Boulder, Colorado, was normally a quiet sanctuary of peace and security, a place where wealthy families lived in sprawling, beautiful homes far removed from the harsh realities of urban crime. But on that fateful day after Christmas, the illusion of safety was permanently shattered when a terrifying crisis unfolded inside the residence of John and Patsy Ramsey. The nightmare began when Patsy discovered a lengthy handwritten ransom note demanding the precise sum of $118,000 for the safe return of their 6-year-old daughter, JonBenet. The note was filled with bizarre, highly dramatic language claiming to be from a rogue international faction and giving specific terrifying instructions to the panicked parents. It was a document that would immediately become one of the most heavily scrutinized pieces of evidence in criminal history, parsed for clues by handwriting experts, FBI profilers, and linguistic researchers for decades. The local police department was contacted immediately, transforming the elegant family home into an active, chaotic base of operations as officers and family friends filled the rooms, inadvertently creating a logistical nightmare that would severely complicate the initial forensic investigation. The absolute peak of horror was reached just hours later in the early afternoon when John Ramsey, accompanied by a close friend, searched the lower levels of the house and made the devastating discovery of his young daughter's lifeless body hidden inside a secluded basement room. The reality of what had occurred was unspeakably grim, as the young beauty pageant contestant had been brutally beaten and fatally strangled, her body bearing the distinct marks of a horrific, calculated assault that defied any easy explanation. The sudden transition from a kidnapping scenario to a brutal homicide investigation sent shockwaves through the local community and immediately triggered a massive media frenzy that would soon capture the attention of the entire world. Journalists, television cameras, and satellite trucks descended upon the mountain city of Boulder, turning the family's immense personal grief into a highly public, round-the-clock spectacle that dominated national news cycles for months on end. The contrast between the child's vibrant, smiling images from her frequent youth beauty pageants and the dark, violent nature of her untimely death created a haunting visual narrative that captivated the public imagination in a uniquely powerful and disturbing way. As the weeks turned into months, the local authorities found themselves under immense, unprecedented pressure to solve a crime that seemed to grow more baffling and complex with every passing day. The initial investigation quickly became plagued by intense internal conflicts, jurisdictional disputes, and sharp disagreements over the direction of the probe, creating a deep rift between the police department and the district attorney's office. One of the most controversial aspects of the entire case was the intense laser-like focus that investigators placed on the immediate family members, particularly John and Patsy Ramsey. In the court of public opinion, fueled by relentless media coverage and endless talk show speculation, The parents were frequently subjected to severe suspicion, despite their continuous passionate declarations of absolute innocence. The public was deeply divided, with many finding it impossible to believe that an outside intruder could have entered the secure home undetected, while others strongly defended the family against what they saw as a deeply flawed, biased police investigation that ignored crucial physical evidence. The sheer volume of speculative theories that emerged during this time was overwhelming, ranging from elaborate intruder scenarios involving complex window entry points to dark, psychological breakdowns within the family structure itself. Every single detail of the Ramsey family's life was completely exposed to the public eye, from their financial standings and personal histories to their religious beliefs and parenting styles, leaving them entirely vulnerable to a barrage of constant judgment. The tragic passing of Patsy Ramsey from ovarian cancer at the age of 49 in the year 2006 added another profound layer of sorrow to the unresolved narrative, as she left this world without ever seeing the ultimate resolution of her daughter's case or the complete, undisputed erasure of the cloud of suspicion that had hovered over her name for a decade. It was not until 2008, a full 2 years after Patsy's death, that a major breakthrough in forensic technology led to a formal shift in the official stance of the legal system. The former district attorney Mary Lacey took the extraordinary step of penning an official, deeply significant letter directly to John Ramsey, stating clearly and unequivocally that newly developed touch DNA evaluation had successfully eliminated the immediate family members from suspicion. The advanced DNA testing had discovered genetic material belonging to an unknown male on the victim's clothing, providing powerful, objective evidence that strongly supported the long-held theory of an outside intruder. In her historic letter, the district attorney apologized to the family for the immense pain they had endured, explicitly stating that they were no longer considered to be under any suspicion whatsoever in the commission of this horrific crime. Yet, despite this official exoneration, the deeper wounds within the public consciousness never truly healed, and the probe into the unsolved death continues to remain open to this day. An enduring symbol of a search for justice that has stalled but never completely stopped. This long, agonizing history of real-life torment, legal drama, and media exploitation is exactly what makes the upcoming Netflix miniseries such an incredibly high-stakes endeavor for everyone involved. The creative decision to bring this complex narrative back to the screen, especially with a focus on exploring how the murder captivated and divided the nation from multiple angles, inevitably reopens all of the old debates and tensions that defined the late 90s. Audiences are naturally worried that a dramatic adaptation might oversimplify the intricate legal facts, or worse, lean into sensationalism to attract viewership on a crowded streaming platform. The inclusion of stellar Hollywood actors like Clive Owen to portray the stoic, heavily burdened John Ramsey alongside Melissa McCarthy's portrayal of Patsy creates an undeniably powerful acting dynamic. But it also elevates the public expectation to an unprecedented level. Viewers are bracing themselves for an intense emotional experience, wondering if the show will successfully capture the profound psychological weight of the tragedy, or if it will spark a fresh wave of public anger regarding how true crime media handles the stories of real deceased individuals. The tension is palpable as the release date approaches, because this series does not just represent another piece of television entertainment, it represents a direct confrontation with one of the most haunting, unresolved chapters in the history of American justice, ensuring that the eyes of millions will be fixed on every single performance. As this highly anticipated limited series prepares to make its global debut, the true scope of the production reveals an artistic effort that extends far beyond the controversial casting of its two main leads. To construct a truly comprehensive narrative that honors the immense complexity of the Boulder investigation, the production has assembled an extraordinary ensemble cast of seasoned character actors, each tasked with portraying the vital historical figures who revolved around the central tragedy. The incredibly sensitive and delicate role of young JonBenet Ramsey is brought to life by the talented young actress Emily Mitchell, who carries the profound responsibility of embodying the innocent child whose life and tragic end became the catalyst for an unprecedented national obsession. Surrounding the core family dynamic is a remarkably powerful group of performers including Garrett Hedlund, Allison Pill, Chris Bauer, Shea Wiggum, Owen Teague, Clifton Collins Jr., Angus Caldwell, and Jamie Ray Newman. Each of these actors represents a critical piece of the massive puzzle, bringing to life the dedicated detectives who burn through years of their careers chasing phantom leads. The aggressive prosecutors who clashed with law enforcement over legal theories, the close family friends who found their loyalties tested under the intense glare of the media, and the journalists who turned a local crime into an international fixation. By filling the screen with such highly respected, deeply serious dramatic talent, the streaming service is signaling that this project is intended to be a profound, multi-layered exploration of systemic failure, societal obsession, and human fragility. Rather than a superficial or sensationalized retelling of a familiar nightmare, the artistic journey of the individual actors involved in this project provides a fascinating context that helps explain why this series is generating such an intense level of industry discussion. While much of the initial public skepticism focused heavily on Melissa McCarthy's extensive background in massive Hollywood comedies, serious students of cinema understand that her dramatic capabilities have already been proven at the highest levels of the industry. Her brilliant Oscar-nominated performance in past dramatic works demonstrated an incredible capacity for deep empathy, vulnerability, and a raw, uncompromising honesty that is absolutely essential for capturing the agonizing emotional landscape of Patsy Ramsey. For McCarthy, this role represents an ultimate creative pinnacle, a definitive opportunity to completely dismantle the public's preconceived notions and deliver a performance defined by the heavy, exhausting reality of a mother living under a permanent cloud of grief and suspicion. Opposite her, Clive Owen brings his trademark intensity, intellectual depth, and commanding screen presence to the role of John Ramsey. Throughout his illustrious career, Owen has specialized in portraying complex, stoic men caught in the grip of overwhelming external pressures, making him the absolute perfect choice to embody a father trying to maintain a sense of structural control while his family, his business, and his entire reality are completely systematically dismantled by a relentless public investigation. The profound creative chemistry between these two seasoned professionals is expected to provide the emotional anchor for the entire series, transforming the historic headlines into an intimate, deeply moving human portrait. The complex corporate trajectory of the miniseries itself further underscores the immense cultural weight and the high-stakes nature of modern true crime storytelling. The project was initially developed and greenlit by Paramount+, a major streaming platform that recognized the incredible narrative potential of revisiting the Boulder tragedy through a prestige dramatic lens. However, in a surprising turn of events that sent ripples through Hollywood, the platform ultimately made the corporate decision not to move forward with the production, highlighting just how incredibly risky and sensitive this specific subject matter remains for major media conglomerates. The sudden cancellation could have easily permanently shelved the project, but the global streaming titan Netflix immediately recognized the profound artistic value and the guaranteed global audience draw of the narrative, swiftly acquiring the rights and pouring massive resources into its completion. This corporate rescue mission demonstrates the immense confidence that the network possesses in its ability to handle such a volatile historical event with the proper balance of cinematic sophistication and narrative responsibility. By positioning the series as a premier television event for later this year, the platform is betting heavily that modern audiences are fully prepared for a sophisticated, multi-angle deconstruction of a tragedy that transcends the cheap jump scares and shallow sensationalism of traditional true crime documentaries. Ultimately, the enduring global fascination with this decades-old case matters so profoundly because it serves as the definitive turning point for how modern society consumes real-life tragedy. The events of late December in 1996 did not merely occur in a vacuum, they effectively birthed the modern 24-hour cable news cycle, establishing a highly commercialized blueprint for turning private human suffering into a permanent form of national public entertainment. It forced a deeply uncomfortable, highly necessary societal conversation about the intense vulnerability of children in the public sphere, the profound dangers of immediate media visually trial without due process, and the absolute fallibility of early forensic investigative techniques that can inadvertently compromise a search for truth from the very first hour. By looking back at this definitive moment through a modern lens, the miniseries acts as a powerful cultural mirror, forcing contemporary viewers to confront their own role as consumers of true crime media and to question how the line between genuine empathy and morbid curiosity has become so dangerously blurred over the last 30 years. As the final chapters of his extensive television report draw to a close. The ultimate success of this bold cinematic experiment remains to be seen, hanging in a delicate balance between artistic triumph and historical misstep. The true measure of this upcoming limited series will not be found in the total volume of its streaming metrics, the fierceness of its opening weekend social media trends, or the consensus of television critics, but rather in its fundamental capacity to completely restore a sense of genuine human dignity to a story that was stripped of it for decades by a relentless, sensationalized media apparatus. For nearly 30 years, the real human beings at the center of this tragedy were effectively transformed into two-dimensional caricatures, public property to be debated, judged, and commercialized by a global audience hungry for answers. By utilizing the immense power of high-end dramatic storytelling, a brilliant ensemble cast, and a multi-perspective narrative approach, this production possesses a rare, incredibly profound opportunity to cut through the decades of accumulated speculation and honor the devastating reality of a family's unresolved grief. The world waits with bated breath to see if Hollywood can finally achieve what the legal system could not, providing a definitive, deeply respectful space for reflection on a tragedy that continues to haunt the collective conscience of a nation, keeping the memory of a lost 6-year-old girl alive in the hearts of millions who still hold on to the faint, enduring hope that true justice may one day finally be served.